defenders, I think, it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
People deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in. As usual, wherever you lot are in this world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. Now, Arteta and Edu, Arsenal fans are wondering where's the signings, again. And it's lovely to see that the transfer market has really started to kick off. I still believe it's the calm before the storm. Arsenal haven't signed any of these players we've allegedly bidded for, so anything can happen again. But let's get straight into it, people. Ornstein has spoken about Timber. There's been an update with Kai Havertz, indirectly Declan Rice, or it depends where you're at with that, Balogun, and so on and so forth. Smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Turn on your notifications. And any thoughts that you have, comment them after the video or comment them when the video premieres. So let's get on. Let's crack on, people. As you lot can see here, Sammy Mokbel of the Daily Mail has said, breaking news, Arsenal make new £60 million offer for Kai Havertz and prepare a 210k per week contract to wrap up a deal as quickly as Chelsea look to raise funds for 100 million Caicedo signing. Arsenal have made an improved verbal offer worth 60 million for Kai Havertz. Now, verbal offer, okay. Has it correlated to written on paper? As you know, in business, you can't leave anything to chance. I's need to be dotted, T's need to be crossed. We've broadly wrapped up personal terms with him. And, I think Chelsea have signed him for 70 odd million, rising all the way to 90. So for a player that's shown that he doesn't want to sign a new contract, allegedly contracted until 2025, they're getting good money, really. I wonder, has Arsenal showed its hand? Now, I say that, obviously nobody's going to know exactly how much Arsenal have available in the transfer market. But in January, when you've bidded 70 odd million for Caicedo, now you're willing to commit 60 million for Kai Havertz, which has probably took football fans, I won't say the world of football, but football fans by surprise. Obviously committing to, if you get the Declan Rice deal over the line, all the way from 90 to just over 100 million. So you got 75 million pound bid in January for Caicedo, 100 odd on Declan Rice, 60, 50, 60, whatever odd on Kai Havertz, and 30 on Timber. Now, these bids haven't been accepted. As I said, none of these players are signed for Arsenal and wearing the shirt that you see me with, but have Arsenal showed their hand in the market, really? Like, we'll get on to Timber, but we have to have known 30 million for someone that's courted by a lot of European clubs isn't going to happen, really and truly. So I wonder how these sort of things affect negotiations. But Arsenal have made an improved verbal offer worth 60 million for Chelsea attacker Kai Havertz. The new package is understood to be worth a guaranteed 55 million plus an extra 5 million in bonuses. Having seen their original offer of around 50 million turned down by Chelsea last week, Arsenal have continued talks with Chelsea over agreeing a fee for the Germany international. And I think this is why, even if Timber signs for Arsenal or goes anywhere else, look at the teams he was linked with to the news you've seen with Arsenal. Arsenal kind of kept the Timber one under wraps before David Ornstein said. Now, as you can imagine, a lot of David Ornstein's peers, now they've all said for weeks, Timber has been on the list and all of these sort of things. Kai Havertz took people by surprise. The Timber bid, of course, obviously Caicedo and Declan Rice, and indirectly Lavia. These were the kind of poster boys for Arsenal's early transfer market business. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, as long as it doesn't affect us bringing in other areas, I'm all for that. I didn't think we'd sign a right-sided centre-back and a right-back. I still would like one of the two, even if Timber arrives. But if you get Timber, who like Benjamin White can play right back and centre half, Kai Havertz can play across the front three as well as an 8 and a 10. He would need to, there's a lot of raw elements of Kai Havertz's game that needs to be improved. He'd have to show he can obviously play in the 8 role. Obviously, he's at home in the 10. As a false 9, he needs to learn to stay on side and probably be a bit more clinical. But you can see, regardless of your opinions on the player, whether you think he's good enough to improve us and things, you can see the angle, like 24 years of age. They're all kind of early to mid-20s, the players we've been linked with, can play in a couple of roles, and it does make the squad stronger. I just wonder, and it sounds like a spoiled Arsenal fan, does Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, and Timber make us stronger in our quest to win the Premier League? I think in many ways it makes us a stronger depth, but I don't think it sits there and immediately we're closer to City or whatever, really. But beggars can't be choosers, and I'm not begrudging anyone. By all means, get these things done. Arsenal have continued talks with Chelsea over agreeing a fee for the Germany international. Those discussions accelerated over the weekend, and Mail Sport now understands that a fresh verbal offer has been made. Whether Chelsea accept that is another thing. Arsenal want to wrap up a deal quickly and already have a broad agreement in place over personal terms. Really, we had to have done that. Havertz will be offered a long-term contract worth a minimum of 210k per week. So you'd imagine whatever Declan Rice is going to get, Kai Havertz, they're going to be pushed towards the Sakas, Partey's on paper, I guess Pepe, Saliba and Martinelli with their new deals to the top earnings people. So we're going to have to get a move on where outgoings are concerned as well, people, really and truly. But for what it's worth, the boys now in Chelsea's court over whether to agree to sell Havertz for 60 million. I mean, 60 million for Havertz, 40 odd for Kovacic to City, similar sort of fee for Mason Mount to go with probably a bunch of other departures at Chelsea. They're kind of clearing ranks. The Blues valued the forward between 70 to 75 million. I think, German international Champions League winner, they're within their rights. But as much as I think Kai Havertz is a good player with a lot of real edges, bit cheeky, 75 million quid offer, really. So we'll have to see. Havertz has already given the go-ahead to join Arsenal. That is provided the two clubs can agree a deal for his departure. Chelsea want to raise funds as they look to press ahead with their own recruitment plans. Look at them acting broke. I'm sure you've all seen the Saudi Arabia business that Chelsea are concerning. We all saw the moment that they got new owners, my man flexed his muscles, and the Enzo Fernandez's deals and all of these sort of things. So big fan of them trying to act broke. Brighton midfielder Caicedo is at the top of their list of summer targets. Allegedly, we're still monitoring him if it can be done. Can't see it personally, but for what it's worth, Caicedo will cost at least 100 million, and Chelsea need to sell before being comfortable committing that level of money. So if it's 100 million on Caicedo, we're not going to drop that on two players to go with the outlay of Declan Rice and maybe 50 million on Lavia, and seeing if we can get over the line, obviously, where Mr. Timber is concerned, people. Arsenal believe that Havertz's versatility makes him a must-win target for the club, according to reports. The 23-year-old has supplanted Declan Rice at the Gunners' primary focus, although Arsenal are confident that both of their targets will make the move to North London in the early stages of the summer market. The quicker you get these players in, the better. We can focus on outgoings, focus on other additional areas, get them in for pre-season. We also saw beyond the obvious how much that helps Zinchenko and Jesus tying into Arsenal, people. Apparently, the Blues wanted to extend his new deal, people. Wanted to give him a new deal and extend his time there. Havertz is believed to be focused on securing a future transfer or a new transfer. As per ESPN, Arsenal have hinted that as well as operating as a number 8 or a 10 in Arsenal's starting 11, the club plans to use Havertz interchangeably in any of the three attacking positions at the top of the 4-3-3 system. So he would follow Trossard, and Martinelli has been able to play as false nines. Apparently, Mikel Arteta, the Spanish manager, is so convinced of the value of Havertz's potential versatility that Arteta is believed to have played a large role in ongoing negotiations for the player. Arteta, I do think you can save everyone, but if you think there's a player there, I'm willing to, critique or praise as I see fit. I think Havertz is a decent player. Wouldn't have been on my list of targets for as much as I think he is, or wouldn't have been a primary focus. But if this is what you want, fair enough, people, really and truly. So I have to see. Obviously, Chelsea there's a bunch of names here, certain former Arsenal captain that has also been linked with moves away. We all know Bayern Munich have shown an interest in trying to commit Kai Havertz to return to Germany. Whether that happens is another thing. So we'll have to see exactly what's being done there, people. Moving ahead to Declan Rice quickly, people. Obviously, big up Bukayo Saka for getting a hat-trick for England, and the star boy just gets better and better. He's the 4th Arsenal player to score a hat-trick for England, people. Men's team, better yet. He follows Ted Drake, Ian Wright, and Theo Walcott. So you're doing all right there. I'm trying to find the part where it spoke about Declan Rice. Here we go. Ball in Hammers call over Rice sale. Declan Rice heads off on holiday this week after obviously playing 61 games. Now, I don't want to see you play that much for Arsenal because you need rest in that, but the best trait you can have is availability, and he seems to be ever present. Get it done. Apparently, he's expecting to be an Arsenal player by the end of the month. Hopefully, Ramsdale and Saka applied pressure on England duty and asked him what is his agent doing, what's the current status. Personal terms, well in excess of 200 grand per week, will be formally agreed very quickly once the two clubs reach a middle ground. Now, 200 odd for him. Yeah, weekly wages. Havertz 200 odd. Saka new deal. Martinelli new deal. Reece Nelson new deal. Saliba new deal, and a bunch of other things. And obviously, you've got other incomings. We probably need to. I'm no accountant, but in line with FFP, we probably need to get some outgoings because we're still paying Granit Xhaka's contract. He's probably on healthy money. I only mention him because it's expected he goes to Leverkusen. Partey's on good money and linked with a move to the Middle East. Obviously, the Pepes of this world, the Cedrics, people of that ilk, You get rid of them, we're looking better. I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles, for example, was on 50 odd, definitely not million, 50 odd grand a week. While we shouldn't have let him really leave for free, that's kind of shaved some of the wage bill, really. And it's something we have to accept people. If you want to bring in key players, if you want to retain key players, you got to pay them, the going rate. And really and truly, and try and cement our place in consistently qualifying for the Champions League and achieving beyond that where due, people. Apparently, West Ham want to trigger an auction for Rice as they seek to recoup over 100 million for the captain. Can't begrudge them for wanting to start a bidding war between the Premier League clubs that are interested, and maybe even Bayern Munich. Arsenal have already verbally indicated their intention to make a second bid worth over 100 million after seeing their first of up to 90 million rejected. The ball is in West Ham's court, people. We'll have to see exactly what's being said there. Skipping back to Kai Havertz, Romano has said he's set to sign for 75 million euros. Arsenal will pay 75 million euros, around 65 million pounds for the 24-year-old, people. So yeah, that's just further confirmation from those in the know. The Telegraph has said, I understand Timber has been top of Arsenal's list of defensive targets for weeks. Big up the club for moving with a bit of discreetness, really, because, now, like you see, nobody said a damn word about Arsenal, Timber to Arsenal yesterday. Now everyone, oh yeah, him, Mohamed Sinkerman, they're on the list of targets. Every journalist has the scoop where David Ornstein dropped the mad thing. With Mikel Arteta looking to recruit a player who can provide quality competition as a right back and central defender, he's valued at around 50 million by Ajax, but Arsenal are hoping to secure a deal at a lower price for a player who has 2 years remaining on his contract. Give them, we're probably going to have to do this for around 40, 35, 40 odd, 35 would be lucky, about 40, 50 odd million quid. He has been linked with Man United. The last player we got into a kind of fight with for United, like Lisandro Martinez, Ten Hag did the cheat code and did the former player stuff. So, maybe being a Dutchman, obviously knowing the Eredivisie, maybe that's something that could be up for debate. I'm taking Timber, and players are right back, players are centre half, playing a back four, playing a back three, very good on the ball in terms of a passing range, allows us to play a high line, provides more quality competition and depth. Just because Benjamin White, for example, has been the fullback, doesn't mean your place can't go. If you're messing about, you got a Dutch international ready to take your place. The same goes for William Saliba and maybe indirectly Gabriel with Kyrgios addition as well, people. And obviously, you look at City, they've got a bunch of them. You've got Stones, you've got Ake, you've got Akanji, you've got, a couple of players, really. So this is what we need to be getting at, really. So it is what it is. I did cover this already, and check out the video I did last night. I'm appreciative to all of you lot have. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts. For what it's worth, David Ornstein did say Arsenal make opening £30 million offer for Ajax defender Timber. Arsenal are working on a deal to sign Jurrien Timber from Ajax. The Premier League club have submitted a proposal worth around 30 million for the 22-year-old Netherlands international. Ajax are seeking in the region of 50 million for Timber, who has 2 years left on his contract at the Dutch club. There is optimism a compromise can be reached between the two clubs while personal terms are believed to be in place. Timber, who has played 15 times for his country, scored 2 goals and got 2 assists in 34 Eredivisie appearances for Ajax this season as they finished third, people. One of Timber's best qualities, the Athletic has said, is his composure on the ball. At the World Cup, he played on the right-hand side of a back three with Van Dijk and Nathan Ake. Timber used his impressive passing range and dribbling ability to help the team progress up the pitch. Sometimes he does switch off, so there's a lot he needs to improve on and get caught flat-footed. He's extremely comfortable on the ball and is capable of operating at right back. There are not many defenders in the world who possess such an intricate passing range and are so confident quite carrying the ball. According to data from F-Brief, I believe, Timber averaged 90.5 touches per game last season in the Dutch top flight, more than any other player. Even more impressively, 59% of his touches were in the middle third, which is very high for a centre-back and underlines how much he gets involved in attack. So you can see how that ties into what Mikel Arteta allegedly wants to do, people. So we'll have to see. Romano has said Arsenal want Timber as a concrete option. As David Ornstein reported, he's on top of the list that also includes Simican. Ajax will not accept 30 million for Timber as they want a bigger fee. Talks will continue as the player is keen on the move. So hopefully he applies the necessary pressure. Arteta wants to give chance to 50 million striker at the Emirates. And this is in relation to Balogun, people, which you hope that's the case. Paul Brown has said, what I can say is, sorry, he said, what I can say is that I definitely won't go on loan. This is Balogun. I'm not sure on the discussions that are going to take place. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm just committed to now. I just try to stay present. It's understood the Gunners are hoping to receive a fee in the region of 50 million if they are to allow Balogun to leave. Allegedly, Paul Brown has said, I think Balogun is going to get a chance in pre-season. I think Arteta wants to take a good look and see what kind of qualities he might be able to bring next season. I think he's going to have to really impress in the couple of weeks that he'll get with the team. Otherwise, he'll be back on loan, getting more experience next season. I mean, he's contracted until 2025, so he could go on loan for another year, have a great season, and be sold next year, maybe at a discount for a big fee. We need to probably raise finances. So Balogun's probably top of the list. He's made clear he doesn't want to go on loan. I don't think Mikel Arteta wants his hand forced with playing Balogun. It is a necessary evil that as we get more of a competitive side and move towards a side challenging for things, less opportunities for young players. For what it's worth, I would like Balogun to get an opportunity. I think people need to calm it down a bit. 12 months ago, he's twice the player, rightly so. He's went on his second loan, built on it, scoring goals, playing for America, performing well in big games, and playing with confidence, competency in his role, and ultimately consistency. But the jury's out. This is his first season where he's laid down the marker. If he does or doesn't do that next season, and he stays at Arsenal or leaves, you can already imagine the talking points. I would like him to stay if we're not going to bring in another 9 in it, because I think you can fight Eddie Nketiah. I think Eddie Nketiah, while I'm sure he wants to play games, is more happy in his role. I think you can fight for Eddie Nketiah's spot. I think where Balogun, Nketiah and Jesus is a bit of a hybrid. They're 3 actual strikers. I'm all for this Havertz false 9 stuff. Martinelli being groomed into that role. Trossard playing in that role when the time's right. But we do need out-and-out strikers, and he fits our remit with homegrown players, with young players, etc. But if he wants to leave and we need to raise funds, and he believes that he can be a better player elsewhere, he needs to be selfish and do what needs to be done, really and truly. If I'm completely honest with you. Arsenal ready to pounce for 40 million relegated Leicester star after Tottenham's double transfer bid rejected by the Foxes. Allegedly, Arsenal are keeping tabs on relegated Leicester star Harvey Barnes after Tottenham's failed bid. Now, we do want a winger. Allegedly, we've been linked with you, Moussa Diaby, Rafinha, and a bunch of others. So with him being Premier League proven, homegrown, and fitting the age remit, maybe that's where the links come from. I don't think we go for Harvey Barnes, but fair enough. He got 13 goals and 3 assists in 40 appearances across all comps last year, people. Arsenal also looking to be making a move. Spurs have had a bid rejected, a £50 million bid for him and James Maddison, which rates both players at 25 odd million quid, which that would be a profit on what they probably spent on Maddison from Norwich. Obviously, Harvey Barnes is homegrown. It would be a profit, but they'd be selling themselves short if they were to go to Spurs for 50 million. Because Maddison, if he was under contract and performing to the way he can, as he's shown at times, he's a £50 million plus player in his own right. And Harvey Barnes ain't rubbish by any stretch of the imagination. We've been linked with Gundogan again as he looks to be edging towards Barcelona, people. Apparently, Gundogan is edging towards Barcelona. This article has said Arsenal are still on the lookout. Arsenal is also pushing very hard to try to get the services of the midfielder in the last hours. Probably a losing battle. Hopefully, we do our thing. I personally think, not that I know him, I think Barcelona's your top priority, staying at Manchester City next, and then Arsenal third. But hopefully I'm proven wrong in that regards, people. Once again, Partey has been linked with a move to the Middle East, and allegedly Arsenal have given Partey permission to explore a Saudi Arabia transfer because they see that as the only way we can make a profit, or better yet, break even on the £45 million we spent. While I don't think it makes sense to sell Partey, someone who featured in 33 of our 38 Premier League games, so only missed 5 or so games, ever fit by Partey standards, I don't think him or Xhaka should be allowed to leave. I definitely think neither should. But, if Partey leaves, you have, even though it's a different sort of profile midfield, I think you have to keep Granit Xhaka, really. I think it's too much changes in midfield. So I don't really buy this, but anything can happen. He's on 140, maybe more grand a week. Sometimes you see 140 for his weekly wage. Sometimes you see closer to 200. He is 30 years of age. He does have a year left on his deal. You're never quite confident in Partey being extremely fit for the majority of the season. And while I think people unnecessarily giving him a lot of criticism, like a bunch of our Arsenal players, as we all collectively fell off, I would say the one thing to go with his injuries is that Partey is normally, out of 30 odd games he plays, he's very good. He's very, very good in the majority of them. But there's a couple 5-6 games a season where it's really, really different Thomas Partey, really. And I don't think we've always seen that in an Arsenal shirt. So I don't know what Mikel Arteta is thinking in that. Again, more on Balogun. I think Balogun is going to get a chance in pre-season. I think Balogun Arteta wants to take a good look at him and see what kind of qualities he might be able to bring next season. I think he's going to have to really impress, as he should, really. Allegedly, Edu Gaspar has met Corinthians president and personal friend Dulilo Montero Alvarez to talk about winger Pedro 17. No offer at the moment, but Arsenal are the most interested in the player right now, people. So we'll have to see. And apparently Victor Rohr could be going to Barcelona, folks. Apparently Tap Sober is too expensive for Arsenal. Apparently Balogun's rep and Arsenal are to meet in the next few days. In this meeting, they'll discuss the price tag and more, but nothing will happen this week in terms of transfers. The plan for now is for Arsenal and Balogun to wait for the strikers' dominoes to start. And you could imagine maybe if Tammy Abraham wasn't injured, he could be on the move. Højlund could be on the move. Vlahovic could be on the move. And maybe these things will have a knock-on effect. Apparently, Sasha Boy of Galatasaray and Arsenal are just simply rumours. So we'll have to see exactly how that is progressing, people. Once again, Arsenal are working on a deal to sign Timber. Balogun doesn't want to leave on loan. We consider Lavia a priority after the Declan Rice deal. So if you did get Lavia, Havertz, obviously, you know, Declan Rice and Timber, I think it's a good look for the football club. Whether that's going to happen is another thing. But for what it's worth, Romano has said Arsenal are, of course, busy with Declan Rice. He is their top target in midfield, but they could make one more signing in that position. And it's true that Lavia of Southampton is one of the players on their list. They like him. They consider him a top target. So yeah, people, it's the same old names. Havertz of this world, Timothy Cassandre of Leicester has an asking price of 15 million euros. Has been linked with Arsenal. Balogun's been linked with Inter Milan. You know, about the 4th or 5th Italian club he's been linked with, or definitely 3-4. He's been linked with AC, Inter, and definitely Napoli as well as Juventus. And where you know Napoli is to replace Osimhen, Juventus is to replace Vlahovic, and as you just saw, allegedly, Balogun is wanted by Inter Milan to replace Edin Dzeko, people who could be going to Fenerbahce. I don't know where they stand with getting Lukaku back from Chelsea, and Lautaro Martinez has also been linked with a move away. As we know, Saliba is moving closer to a new deal. So yeah, it's really just the same old names. We've called our interest on Caicedo. Their party once again linked with an exit. So yeah, you can see what I was referring to with the Juventus and Balogun rumours. So yeah, folks, let me know your thoughts on potentially Partey leaving, on Declan Rice, on Harvey Barnes, on Kai Havertz, on Gundogan, obviously on the new deal for Kai Havertz, and obviously on this Timber business. Check out the rest of the videos. Check out my playlist. Make sure you're following on Kick, on Twitch, and on YouTube. Deluded, Gooner, and everything, so you don't miss any content. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll be back before you know it.
Always just that.
Thank you very much.